Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Final Whistle. We're back again. Today I have Ibn, I have Derek, and Bobby's back. You know when Bobby is back, there's something going on. There's drama at the Spurs camp, so we're going to talk about Antonio Conte being hired and Nuno getting fired. We also got to touch on the Ole situation, but we'll talk about it, and also Barcelona hiring Xavi. That's another mess that's going on. But let's kick it off with the Spurs situation, Bobby. And just last week, Nuno got fired. How many games was it? 10 Premier League games he was given, 17 games overall. I read. Antonio Conte gets hired 48 hours. I mean, it was a quick turnaround. I've never seen.
I didn't even know it was 48 hours. I felt like it was just the next day.
Yeah, like it was like the next day will confirm the following day. It was so quick. And I want to focus on the Nuno aspect, and then we go to the Conte point. What went wrong for Nuno? Like, what do you think as a Spurs fan, as you're watching them for the 10 Premier League games he was in charge of, or 17 games? Why didn't it work? Was it because he wasn't the caliber of manager that I guess a team like Spurs needed? Was it the players? Was it like where do you fall into this situation and why it didn't work so early?
I think Nuno had a lot of things going against him. So, it took how many days, 70-something days, to figure out who Spurs' new coach was going to be to begin with. And he was 10th, 7th, some late choice.
Yeah.
So I don't think he came into a situation where the players automatically respected him, and he probably had to earn some respect, which isn't a good place to start for a manager coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was almost like he was operating on borrowed time right off the bat. And Nuno isn't a loud, charismatic manager and was always kind of within himself. And so there was actually a huge length of time where there were a lot of players that had never talked to him. And it was a week and a half, maybe 10 days into his reign, and they were like, hey, have you talked to Harry Kane? And he's like, no. So that's kind of weird. But I was definitely in the camp of okay, give him some time. He did so well with Wolves. Let's give him some time to work with the team and everything. So he kind of just never got things going. And it was in that Manchester United game, Lucas Moura was by far the best player on the field.
Oh, yeah.
Even better than some of the United players. He was on fire. He was trying to create things, had that effort. And Nuno decided to sub him out at the 60th minute for Steven Bergwijn. And when that happened, there was an audible boo from our fans.
Yeah.
And you could see Patricky, because he sits on the bench. He doesn't up in the director's box. Nuno made that sound. Patricky immediately got on his phone and walked away. So it's funny because I think there are a couple of people talking he immediately went and called Levy, or he immediately went and called Antonio Conte and was that needs to happen. And then it happened a few days
Wait,
later.
who is Patricky? I'm not sure who that is.
He's the director of football, the one from
Okay.
Yeah, he came from Juventus. He used to work with Conte, and he's basically their Anna, the lady that handles Chelsea's transfers. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so before we get on the Conte situation, I guess, Derek, let me get your thoughts on Nuno as well, because you were pretty excited for him. You had pretty high hopes for him coming in the Spurs. Where do you think it went wrong?
I think so. Nuno as a manager is talented and everything, and I expected him to be able to do well at Spurs, but it looks like his ability to make the team perform was not only about how talented he was, but there were several other different things that would contribute to him being successful, at Spurs. And when I think about it a bit more critically, this is what I think, right? So you have Pochettino, who picked up the team, worked it all the way up to the point where they able to beat City in Champions League and eventually get them to a Champions League final, etc. That manager gets fired, and there is this attachment to him that the only way any other manager can be able to come in and convince the team is a manager that has tremendous experience working with big players and somebody who can speak to the psyche of players to make them perform, right? And I believe that's what Mourinho could have been. Obviously, Mourinho was not successful entirely in trying to do that. And so if I throw in Nuno as the third person within that chain, then it looks like he was already set up to fail. I mean, now that I look back, right, that despite the fact that he was talented and was doing great things at Wolves, he didn't quite possess the full package to come motivate the team and build a team that is willing to work for him and die for him. And so, especially when you're coming into a season where, the top player in the team, Kane, was, entangled between them and City for a while, very close to the season before he actually made a statement about where he was going to be and things like that. I'm pretty sure if I am Son, if I am Beguan, if I am, Lucas Moura, my spirit is already dampened before the season starts when one of our top players, or should I say the top player over there, right, is undecided and feels like I cannot win here, right, and I can win somewhere else. And so that didn't quite work for Nuno, and I think that really, kind of contributed to his demise. And eventually, with Conte coming in, which I think is the next conversation we're going to have, we'll look at the dynamics of Conte, or what he brings that makes him different from Nuno, and what's going to make him successful or not.
Yeah, we're gonna jump into that, into the Conte one. I just wanted to hear about the Nuno angle before we switch over to Conte. So, Ibn, what do you think? Why didn't it work?
Well, with the whole team spirit thing, I feel like that was a major contributing factor to it. At the same token, too, I also felt like, I don't know if you guys heard an echo, but I just like bringing it up. It's an echo. So back to the story. He didn't really succeed because most of the ideas that he may have had were basically delayed in the sense that if you're to the point that basically Derek made, if you're coming into a team with your top player being kind of confused as to where they're going to be at for the following season, you cannot really execute what you have in mind. So that's not an excuse. But at the same time, too, the whole transition period, I feel like was too short for him. Again, to what Bobby mentioned, if you're seventh on the list for a choice and you just automatically get a job, automatically you're not a favorite. So people are not going to basically respect you. You have to prove yourself. So it was I feel like it was a personality thing that didn't work out. Did he need time? Maybe he did need time to basically instill his philosophy upon the team, and those that buy into it, he gets to keep them. And then if he has to ship off some people and bring in his own players, he does that. So I feel like it was just a matter of time, and he didn't really get that overall.
The reason why you guys, every time Spurs hires a new manager, everybody's so enthusiastic is what you guys are missing is the team is not good. That Spurs team is not as good as they used to be. That Spurs team, if you look at the back line, they used to have Vertonghen. They used to have, what was it? Alderweireld, right? They used to have Ben Davis, who was on his prime. They used to have Kyle Walker. It's Dembele, Dele Alli in his prime, Eriksson. All these players that I'm naming, none of those players that they're all over there are better than them. That's the thing. That Spurs team is not good enough. Lo Celso and all the, Romero and Davinson Sanchez, these are like Crystal Palace players. I'm telling you, they are not players that are elite. And Bobby,
you say Crystal Palace players. What do you mean?
Like they're mid-table players.
Christian Romero, the Crystal Palace type player.
What's that?
You think Christian Romero is?
I mean, at least he's
reigning
like, okay.
Serie A Defender of the Year.
No.
It's
At least
already
he's okay.
improved our back line. It's not great.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
improved it,
Okay,
but he's not good
maybe
enough.
not him, right? But Bobby, hear me out. Davinson Sanchez and Ben Davis, right, in your back line. Eric Dyer does not start as a defender for Leicester City, for West Ham. Like, no, I'm being so serious. Like, Ben Davis is not. Ben Davis is a Crystal Palace player. He's a Southampton. He's a mid-table player, right? If you go in the midfield, Dele Alli is not on form anymore. Højbjerg is okay, right? And all the Doherty, he came from. He's also a mid-table player. Lo Celso is a mid-table player. Like, there's a lot of these players that are not very good that are on the team, right? And I think that we get lost in the idea of, because they play for Spurs, they are top 6 or top 4 kind of players, and they're not. And Ndombele is not a top 6 or top 4 player. He's talented, but he's not.
I mean,
I'm telling you, he's not. He's a very talented player, but there's a lot of midfielders that you can get that will improve the player. The talent is not there. The recruitment has not been good. Because the reason why I'm saying, right, 4 years ago when they were challenging for the league and challenging making top 4 and going to Champions League final, I just listed all these players. How many of these players? Eriksen, Dele Alli, Dembele. He was one of my favorite players. That Ousmane Dembele guy was very good. Ben Davis, Vertonghen,
Sissoko.
right? Like not this Sissoko to the side. Like what do you call it? Kyle Walker as a right back, right? All these players, that back line, and Luis in his prime, that back line, that midfield, nobody in this team can make that team from there. Bobby, am I lying? It's Romero starting over Vertonghen and you're right.
You got a lot of timeline wrong, because Kyle Walker didn't play in our back line.
He wasn't there, yeah.
For the Champions League.
He left way before.
Neither did Musa
I'm saying from the time where they were good enough to, like, I'm saying, like, from the time where they were challenging for the league, and like when you got finished second versus Leicester City, from that time point on all the way to the Champions League final, where the players that have played. So I'm kind of like a period that I'm kind of putting it. I don't think the team is good enough, and I think that because they play for Spurs, we tend to think that they are a top 6 or top 4 player, and that's really what I don't think they're good enough, guys. I don't think the players are there where they can make it.
I think there's an aspect of that, right? Correct. Which I agree. Yeah. There's a little bit less quality there, but to say the team is not good enough, I disagree. I think the Spurs team has quality to compete.
For what?
So
for what everybody's competing for. Top 4.
They're not a top 4 team, Eric.
No. I didn't say they're a top 4 team. I'm saying to compete for the top 4. See, when you're talking about a top 4 team, right? If I ask you, is Liverpool a top 4 team? Is yes. There's no question about it. Is Chelsea a top 4 team? Yes. Is Man City a top 4 team? You're probably gonna say yes. Is Arsenal a top 4 team? They can compete, but I wouldn't call them a top 4 team. No, I'm just giving an example. Man U right now, are they a top 4 team? They can compete for the top 4, but are they top 4?
They're much better than Spurs.
But I don't see any reason why this current Spurs team cannot compete for the top 4 or compete at the same level that West Ham or Manchester United is competing today.
So which alludes to the point that Nunes needed time, because again, he had the same group of mid-table players when he was at Wolves, and he was doing wonders with them. So I always will argue to his defense and say that.
Where did Wolves finish last season? 6th, 7th?
7th.
No, 12. Okay.
Last season was
10.
Yeah, they finished like 14th or something.
Okay.
Season before was the 7th. Yeah, so last season was 12. But to his defense, that's what I'm saying. Like, if he has the players, right, and they've bought into his philosophy, and with time, he will be able to make the quote-unquote.
See, the reason why, Jeff, I find it hard to just accept fully is we have seen teams like Aston Villa last year who are competing, Leicester competing, this season, West Ham competing, right? Mm-hmm. There's an aspect of competition that is created by who the manager is and how he's able to influence the team to do that, right? So I don't think it's all about the quality. I think they're good enough to compete. But you need somebody that can be able to get this team to work. And that is probably what they don't have now.
Like Tottenham's issues not starting on each manager. Our issues started when we ended that season in the Champions League final.
Mm-hmm.
And actually before that, when we had a couple of windows of no activity. Mm-hmm. So we obviously do have some deadwood in the club that, like, Ben Davies has played the last 2 games. He's coming in a sub for a couple of games before that. But he played the last 2 games because he's comfortable playing on as a left center back in a back 3. And that's what Antonio Conte has come in to do. So that's not a permanent solution, but he knows that Ben Davies is comfortable playing there, so he's going to play him there. Mm-hmm. Davinson Sanchez had so much promise. That's why he's still in the club. He's still only like 24, 25, something like that. But he just hasn't been good enough the last couple of seasons. And Eric Dyer's moved back from a defensive midfield to a center back because there was a period where we were looking for center backs and couldn't buy one. So, yeah, there's some deadwood in the club.
Bobby, you just answered my question. Yeah,
but like Lo Celso and Ndombele, these players are top quality players that haven't been entered into the right system, haven't gained the right confidence because they come into a club that's got issues and they're struggling. So there was never a chance for Lo Celso specifically to gain confidence. And Ndombele is a whole separate issue, but if that guy's on his game, he's one of the best midfielders in the world. So you saying he doesn't have the quality, that's just wrong. And not to mention that we've got Harry Kane and Sung Min, who are 2 of the best players in the world. So that we don't have quality is not the right assessment. But we don't have the right formula to use what we have. And that's where Nuno failed. Because you watch all his games, even the supposedly lower level conference games or FA Cup or Carabao Cup, we just had no plan. There was no solution to create offense. It was kind of just double downing on the Mourinho when all he had was let's concentrate on defense.
Yep.
And that gave us nothing going forward. Mourinho was lucky because Son and Kane were unreal in his time there and set a record for combining for goals. But that just put Band-Aids all over the rest of what Mourinho was doing. So we needed Conte to come in because he's the type of manager that can grab somebody by, their shirt, give them some motivation, get them confident for a game, and then he's also got the formula and the plan to use it.
So the reason why I focused on the players is because Derek was trying to make a comparison between what Tuchel did with Chelsea and what Conte did with Chelsea. Like the squads are not the same, bro. Like you're comparing apples to oranges. That Chelsea team, and you're gonna compare that to the Spurs team. That's why I'm like, they're not good enough. There are not. You cannot look at the Chelsea team or the starting lineup or whatever and tell me that those players are not like top 4 quality players, like world class.
Yeah,
players.
We don't have an $8 billion Russian buying all our players.
Exactly.
We buy organically our players. We don't have the money to. We don't have the money to compete with the other top clubs.
No. Okay. So here's my point. See, my comparison with what Tuchel did with Chelsea and what Conte did with Chelsea was not exactly comparing the teams, but I'm comparing what the managers did with what they had.
Yeah,
right.
But
Chelsea. Let me finish my point. Last season, when we were looking at what are the teams that can actually be able to finish top 4, right? I don't think there are a lot of people who thought Chelsea could be able to finish top 4 after we started to face all the problems that we started to face. We all felt like, okay, maybe Havertz and Werner, they all need time. Maybe we're not as good as we thought the Chelsea team is. Maybe they need time. Tuchel came in there, and then we're like, oh, did we actually need the time? So
the quality of players were there. You cannot tell me that Werner and Havertz were not quality players.
Okay. So are you trying to tell me that you're combining Werner and Tammy Abraham and Havertz, and you're going to compare those to what Kane and Son and Lucas Moura are? Are we comparing those?
Wait. What are we talking? We're talking about the team. We're not talking about attacking players.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about what the manager had to do the job he was supposed to do. And you are telling me Chelsea had a far better talent for Tuchel to do something with it. And my question back to you is, so are you trying to tell me for a Havertz and for a Werner who had not played in the league ever, and a Tammy Abraham that had only played one season for Chelsea?
I don't understand why it has to be your attacking players. So we're talking about the team. I'm not talking about strike force.
No. You mentioned Havertz and Werner. You mentioned those names.
Those are the players.
Exactly, and I'm comparing what they look like for Tottenham today. Right? You mentioned Havertz. You mentioned Werner. So I'm comparing who are the other people, who are the Werners, and who are the Tammy Abrahams, and who are the Havertzes in current Tottenham team. And those are the Kanes.
Yes, but I'm talking about a Havertz and a Werner that came into a Chelsea team. Like, you're missing the point. They came into a team that is very established, a very good team. When you take away Havertz and Werner,
you're telling me the Chelsea team that had Hazard leave, that had an almost failing Willian, was a very good team for Havertz and Werner to come join? Is that what you're telling me?
Derek, I'm comparing. Listen, you're missing the point.
No, you're making it look like there was a Chelsea team that was a great team, and we added Havertz and Werner to it. That was not true.
No, you're not listening. Listen. We're talking about, was Chelsea good enough to finish top fourth? We're not talking about Chelsea winning the league. We're talking about Chelsea finishing top 4 last year. If you look at the teams, Chelsea had the most talent from the rest of the teams left. You cannot tell me that the Chelsea's talent wasn't there. You don't.
I'm not saying Chelsea's talent was not there. You are making a comparison and saying Chelsea had a far better talent for Tuchel to do something with than the current Spurs team. And I am telling you that. But what I am saying is, who within the team, if you start to do a comparison with this Spurs team, how much more talent or how much more talented and experienced were they compared to the current Spurs team that cannot be used? That's my question.
Listen, Chelsea, the base of Chelsea's team, do I need to go by? The base of Chelsea's team was there. The foundation is there. The winners are on the team. That Chelsea team are built with winners, bro. I'm trying to tell you, this is not a Havertz or that came to a team that has not won anything, that do not know, they're trying to figure out themselves. They have leadership, they have players, and they have winners in that team. When you add other players, when you add into the ingredients of that.
I'm actually curious. Who are the people you're calling the leaders in the Chelsea team before Ziyech, Pulisic, Havertz, Werner, before all of those came in? Give me the names of Thiago. Mention all the names of the players that you consider as this was the base, this was the experience that Chelsea had.
Okay, so let's go by, right? He brought in what do you call it, Mendy, right? He brought in Mendy.
Forget about Mendy. We're talking about the team that Chelsea had before all of these players came to add onto it.
Okay. So Rudiger. He's proven that he's one of the best defenders in the league, right? Am I kidding?
And then who?
Right? Christensen was there. He's proven that he's one of the best defenders in the league, right? Am I kidding? We had Jorginho. We have Conte. We have Kovacic. These are all these. Aspilicueta was there. These are all these players that were just there, right?
So you are telling me these players that you are talking about is actually that well-oiled machine you're talking about that had just additions to it?
Yes. Like, what other proof do you need, bro?
But if you look on the other side, well, then I also start to say that, okay, this was a team that had a Mount, that had a Tammy Abraham, that had a Reece, who had no experience in the Premier League, and we're playing.
Here we go again. Experience. Like these, you keep telling me about these experiences. How many players? Mount and Reece James. Which Spurs player? Like if I was to offer Mount and Reece James to Bobby right now, he would take them and take anybody that plays in that position. You're downplaying them.
I don't want Mount at all.
you're downplaying these players.
Okay. So if I gave you,
wait.
If I gave you Kane and I gave you Son, would you not take them?
They have two players. You keep saying these same two players, bro.
But these are superstars that we are talking about.
Okay, but no. But that's and what did they get them? What did these superstars get them? Seventh, bro. I'm trying to get you to understand. Like a team is not just two players where you need a team and you need winners and you need people who actually been through the grind.
I don't think the Chelsea team that Tuchel inherited, right? And then the team that currently Spurs has, right? I don't think that for a great manager or for a good manager, he cannot be able to do anything. I think that for a good manager, you should be able to do well with any of these
Derek,
two.
Do you think Tuchel could have taken that Spurs team and won and did what he did? Because technically, you think
Did you think that Tuchel could take that Chelsea team and do what he did?
Derek, after 5 games, I was like, this dude has a bro. After 5 games, I was like, this is a manager who knows how to put players in the right position. You can check all the videos. That's what I
No. Did you think that Tuchel could do what he did with a Chelsea team before he came in?
No,
I don't even know who he is.
Nobody thought he could do that.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Derek,
There's nobody.
Didn't
So-
Tuchel come in after they spent $220 million?
I'm
Didn't
trying
he
to
come into a
understand.
team that was established? Then they spent $222 million on new players.
I don't.
Tuchel came in, right?
You are
That's
missing it,
how
bro.
it went in.
But here's the thing. What I'm trying to say is a manager makes a difference. This was the same team.
Yes.
This was the same team that this guy had. Lampard had, and we felt that Lampard was not making the best out of the team. I don't want us to underestimate. I don't want us to say it's about the squad.
No,
The
Derek,
manager makes a difference.
Let me say one statement, right? Let me put it down so you understand.
Okay.
I am not saying that the manager wasn't the difference. Obviously, if the manager comes in and he changes a team that is 6 or 7 and losing to Leicester and wins the Champions League and goes to FA Cup final and finishes 4th, everybody knows that. But what I'm saying is what you're not getting is that team, that Chelsea team had the foundation where Tuchel can take them to the next level. If you tell me that Chelsea had nothing and then Tuchel just took a whole bunch of nothings and took them there, then you're missing it.
No, I'm not saying Chelsea had nothing. No, that's not what I'm saying.
No. I'm saying the team that they put. I tell you, the foundation of the team was there, right? The team was good enough where they were supposed to finish top 4. Lampard did not do a good enough job putting the team into the right position. That's what Tuchel came in and changed it. But what I'm trying to tell you is Tuchel had very, very good players that will enable him to get the job done. If Tuchel was in charge of this Spurs team, he's not doing the same thing because they do not have the same amount of talent that Chelsea had for him to work his magic. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If Conte comes in, Conte does not have what he needs for Spurs to finish top 4. I'm telling you that right now. Maybe next year, but you're missing. You keep going back to the same 2 players. Yes, they are world class. Son and Kane are world class. That is it. That is it. They do not have anything else that can push this team. And the same players that are there, world-class players, are not even performing. The same world-class dude does not even want to be there. It's a mess, and then he needs a lot. So if you think if Conte takes this team and finishes top 4, I am completely wrong because I missed the whole thing. I think Conte is excellent. He does not have the resources. He does not have the players to finish top 4 in this Premier League. I'm telling you that.
Time will tell.
We don't have the same resources as a Chelsea or United or City because we don't have the oil money or the Russian money.
And Bobby, you're completely right. And that's true.
But I don't think that we don't have the talent to compete for top 4. I think that we do. It's just, you need to
figure it out.
Wait. How far is Spurs from the top 4? And we're not even on Christmas right now. How far is Spurs from the top 4?
We're in 9th.
Derek, since this show started, you have had Spurs in the top 4 every single season, and they haven't. I don't know.
In the top 4. You're the curse.
So
it's a tough question because I mean, it's the same thing as like you start a new season with a new manager, and we give our predictions. And, of course, I'm going to put Spurs in the top 4 because I'm optimistic it's a new season. So new manager, new look at life. And, I want to be optimistic, and I want to say that maybe we can crack the top 4. I would be happy with 5 or 6. But I want to be optimistic because, it's Conte. Conte is the best manager in the world. Everyone's saying it, right? And
so you're on board. You are fully on board with Conte. Or are you like you have no choice?
I mean, yeah. Of course, I don't have any choice, but I'd rather be on board than against it because, I mean, it is finally in the last little bit of time. Spurs is like, we're going back for it. Like we belong to be in that Big Six conversation or whatever you want to call it. So I respect the move going for Conte. And Conte came out and said, they came and talked to me in the summer and it wasn't the right time because I just left Inter and I was still emotional about that. So I want to believe that. I want to believe that that's the truth.
For United. But
so, yeah, I'm on board. We're going to turn things around. We're going to do well. And January transfer window is definitely going to be what determines where we're going to finish at the end of this season. So hopefully that goes well.
But honestly speaking, who's going to be in the market for January transfer though? Like,
that's a good question.
Yeah, I don't think that will help solidify or help heal the wounds that y'all have right now. I honestly feel like him being a coach right now is a solution to in the right direction. But in terms of establishing the team, it takes time. So again, it's like the same thing with Nunes. If you guys should have given him time to basically implement his philosophy and basically bring in his players, things might have changed. So let's see. In terms of finished up on the table, I don't know.
To be fair, our first 2 games with Conte weren't great.
Correct.
But I saw an improvement already.
Oh, they defended way better already.
Under Nuno, it was passionless. It felt like we had no direction. There was no want for the players to be on the field. At least under Conte, I can see some fight and some passion and some, they're going for it at least. So there's an improvement already at least.
And it goes back to the subject that we were having earlier about respect. People know Conte, high-level coach, whatever, so they'll give him that kind of respect compared to Nunes where he came from wall to wall.
Yeah.
That might be the attitude. And, again, it's unfair, but it happens. So let's just hope for the best for Spurs. But in terms of where you guys finish off this season, probably end up at 9th, maybe. I don't know.
I like how he went from let's just hope for best for the Spurs and said first 9th.
It's the best. It's the best I could get them. We had a bad start.
Derek, what do you think?
No, I mean, if Spurs had won their game today, Spurs would have been sixth on the table, right?
They didn't.
They didn't, but they're 6 points away from the top 4. I don't think that with a manager like Conte, this Spurs team cannot compete for the top 4. I think they can. With every competition and everything else that's going on, I feel it'll probably end up in the top 6 for sure. But I am tipping this team to compete to crack into the top 4, in my opinion, with everything else that's going on.
So what's the floor?
To be fair to him, everybody's dropping points this season so far. Doesn't matter who you are, you're dropping points. So you never know.
Oh, it's wide open, all right. It is wide open. West Ham is above Liverpool right now. So
and United.
So I mean, we shall see. So that what's the floor? What's you minimum they're gonna get?
What do you mean minimum position?
Yeah.
Top 6 for sure. Top 6 for sure. But I'm tipping them to crack into the top 4 is what I'm saying.
There goes the Spurs fans.
No, it's not even that. But hey, maybe I'm seeing something different. This is the reason why I do not think so. Is because I do not think he has enough talent to do his work. I think Conte is excellent. I mean, Derek, you and I went to see him live. He's an excellent manager. We know this. He does not have enough players. He does not have the camaraderie. He does not have the right people and the right mindset to do his job. That's all I think, and I think that is going to be the downfall. He's a very good manager, but bro, you can only do so much. He cannot turn water into wine. I don't think he's that guy. I mean, I don't think anybody is that guy. Honestly, you need something to make it work. Now, I think top 6. I'm probably 6.
Probably, but
like I think the bar is like 6. I do not think they're gonna be where it's like 2 games left and Spurs have a chance to finish top at 4th. I do not think that's gonna happen. I'm not saying I don't want it to come off. I'm saying that because I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm being so honest, Bobby, and I'm not even trying to be a hater or anything like that. I just don't think that the team is good enough, bro. I think we're missing it, and I think that the back line is not good enough. And Conte is going to do a good job putting 5 in the back. But if I see Ben Davis and I see Davinson Sanchez, that's Crystal Palace all over. I mean, I'm telling you, they're Crystal Palace players. And nobody strikes fear. I mean, they don't strike fear into no attackers when they see those players in the back.
Last thing, though, I think Conte, because he's such an energetic, charismatic type of manager, we know he has the right CV on the field, tactically wise, but I think that personality is the right person to have all that chaos at the camp, like you just mentioned, kind of come to an end. You know, so.
And also, one more thing. Do you think Levy will give him the money or the resources? Because I think he needs to spend money. Do you think it's going to happen?
You know, part of the reason that Conte said in the summer that he didn't want to come to Spurs was because that there was a misalignment of something in that nature of maybe Levy didn't want to support him fully like he wanted. So we have such a terrible start to the season, which, I mean, I guess it wasn't that terrible. We're still in the top 10. But we have such a bad start to the season, and we want to make this change. Something must have changed in Levy's mind to give him that promise of, yeah, we're going to fully support you. So we'll see.
All right, bro. We'll see. All right. Bobby, thank you, man. Thank you for coming out, and we'll talk soon. Right now. Yeah, so yeah, that's our episode. I don't know, man. We'll see what Conte will do. It might work out, it might not. I still think he needs to spend money, but let's see what the next few months has in store for Spurs and the squad. So yeah, for me, Ibn, Derek, and Bobby, thank you guys for watching. Peace.